Well, more chaos in Gaza as desperate Palestinians try to get their hands on aid. Hospital officials said 4 people died after crowds stormed a World Food Programme warehouse in central Gaza. Limited deliveries have recently resumed following a nearly 3-month Israeli blockade.
Gazans are risking death in the search for life-saving aid. A desperate crowd ransacks the United Nations warehouse, tearing down metal walls and carrying off anything they can find. Shots ring out. It's unclear who was firing. Gaza hospital officials said 2 people died from gunshots while 2 others were crushed to death in the crowd. The World Food Programme facility was storing supplies ready for distribution. Funerals were held for people whose relatives say they were killed as they attempted to collect food at a different facility in southern Gaza on Tuesday. The Israeli military has denied that its troops fired at crowds, saying they issued warning shots into the air.
He went to get aid for his 2-year-old daughter. His wife is pregnant.
On Wednesday, Gazans returned to the new aid distribution compound near Rafah, which is run by the Israeli and US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. It says it has handed out some 14,000 food packages. Gazans described chaotic scenes.
You go in there, take and leave. People are stepping on the food and have made a mess. There was barely anything left. I picked up everything from the floor. This is all I could find. 5 bags of chickpeas and 5 kilos of rice.
Israel is only allowing a limited amount of aid into Gaza under the new plan. The UN is calling for an end to the restrictions.
During the ceasefire,
the Palestinian ambassador to the UN broke down while describing the humanitarian situation in Gaza.
It's unbearable. How could anyone tolerate this horror? Excuse me, Mr. President. I have grandchildren. I know what they mean to their families. And to see this situation of the Palestinians without us having hearts to do something is beyond the ability of any normal human being to tolerate.
But Israel's Prime Minister defended the new aid scheme, saying it is needed to eliminate Hamas.
In the past 2 days, we have been making a dramatic shift toward the complete defeat of Hamas. We are taking control of the food distribution in the Gaza Strip. This is their money machine. This is what fuels their terror army. And this is what dismantles their governing capabilities. We are committed to eliminating both their military and governmental capacities. And we are doing both, and we will achieve both.
But after more than 600 days since the Hamas October the 7th terror attack, some Israelis are demanding their government make a deal to return the remaining hostages instead of pursuing the war.
All right, let's get more on this from our DW senior international correspondent, Fanny Facsar in Jerusalem. Fanny, what more can you tell us about the scenes we saw in that report at the World Food Programme's warehouse?
Well, that footage emerging from Gaza basically adds to the overall picture of desperation, of people trying to get their hands on anything that they can eat. And in this particular case, this was a warehouse of the UN agency of the World Food Programme that had bags of flour stored there. And as people found out about this, they were storming this center. You can literally see this crowd pushing against each other, trying to get their hand to get their hands on a bag of flour. And while we're hearing reports also that apparently shots were fired, we cannot verify and we do not know from where and when these shots were fired. And there's conflicting information all around about the death toll and how many people were injured. But what we can certainly say that it's probably not going to be the last time that we see either a distribution center or this warehouse descending into sheer chaos, because this is basically the toll that this nearly 3 months blockade by Israel, not letting any food in, not letting any medical aid in, this is the toll that's been taken on the people there. So people are desperate, they're hungry, but there's also the question, of course, is this all about the survival of the fittest, to say so? Because let's just think about all the people who are injured, who are disabled, who can't even make it to be it if there is still left a place where you can get a meal, a soup or anything, or let alone trying to get to the south of the Strip, where this very controversial Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has set up apparently 3 distribution sites, with one that has started operating this week, but under very chaotic circumstances as well. So we will unfortunately probably see more of this footage coming out of Gaza as time continues, but aid doesn't get in quickly and on a larger scale.
Fanny, the new Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has said it will expand its centres, but did temporarily halt operations on Wednesday. What's the situation now?
Well, basically, Israel's UN ambassador said that Israel would let in the United Nations to operate again in Gaza Strip, quote, in the immediate future. But of course, we have to add to this that Israel has always made clear that they want the United Nations to operate through this very controversial US-Israeli-backed agency group, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. And this is exactly what the UN does not want to do, because they say that they operate against the principles of humanity and independence. And what we see play out there, in fact, in the UN Security Council, listening to that emotional plea by the Palestinian UN ambassador, but also by others, calling for a change there, calling for aid to be let into the Strip. But really, what can the Security Council do? At least 9 out of the 15 members would have to agree on a draft resolution. And then again, of course, there are the 5 permanent members who can veto this, and the United States, being one of the members who can veto any draft resolution, has done so in the past since October 7th several times. So really a lot depends here on what the international community can do to put pressure on Israel, but also it depends, of course, how much and whether Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel wants to listen to anything that's being decided. If the United States, one of the most important allies here of Israel, doesn't act, at least not in a manner that makes Prime Minister Netanyahu wanting to act in a way that the international community wants it to do, and that is to let UN aid in, that has a vast network, according to their information, in the Strip, and they could handle these chaotic situations as people are growing bigger and bigger by the day, who are basically risk to starve as the ongoing bombardment continues by Israel in the Strip.
DW Senior International Correspondent Fanny Facsar in Jerusalem. Thank you.